The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Well, hey there. This is Guy Newcomb, the Scoreboard Guy. It is Friday night, September 1st, 2023, week 2 of the high school football season. And we are underway here, and I will tell you this, a week sure does make a difference. Last week at this time, I had been bedridden the entire week and was just unable to function. Tonight, I'm a half hour earlier, and I feel a lot better. Hey, wherever you may be, hey, make sure that if you're in your vehicle, check around, look around, make sure everybody's buckled up. Before you put it in drive, make sure your loved ones that are in the vehicle with you and yourself are buckled up. It takes 3 seconds, and it could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. It's 9:31 on a Friday night. We will run through the final scores that we have at this time here in the state of Missouri, and we'll start off first with games that went on last night on Thursday night across the state of Missouri. It was Chaffee over Charleston 14-12. Sarcoxy defeats Clever 40-6. Was Raytown over Excelsior Springs 34-12. Joplin over Willard 28-24. Mount Vernon defeats Monette 42-7. Was Republic over Ozark 41-14. And we'll hear an interview with Republic head coach Ryan Cornelson at some point during the show, perhaps. It was Rittenhour over Webster Groves 50-35, and Sullivan defeats DeSoto 57-0. It was University Academy Charter 48 and Kip KC Legacy 20. Warrenton over Washington last night 21-18. Games from tonight that have gone final at the Misha website. Not a lot of scores up on Misha yet, final at this time. In fact, apparently there's none of them that have gone final here at the Misha website. So let's check the Scoreboard Guy on Twitter as we look those scores up. You can go and follow us at Scoreboard Guy on Twitter. You can also go to Missouri_sports on Twitter. We have a final. Maryville defeats Harrisonville 50-12. We've reached out to Coach Matt Webb from Maryville to see if he can join the show. We also have a final. Stockton defeats Miller 54-8. Ellsworth's McDonald County over Marshfield 34-14. Knobnoster defeats Salem 46-0. Webb City defeats Carl Junction 47-28. Maryville, the number 1 ranked team in Class 1, defeats Willow Springs 70-6. Elsewhere, Windsor over Cole Camp 22-20. In the latest scoreboard that we have in the third quarter, Borgia on top of Union 52-7. That's probably gone final. St. Clair on top of North County 19-0. Pacific on top of Francis House Central. Francis House Central 20-17. Herman on top of South Callaway 22-12. Owensville leads Eldon 28-19 at last report. Of St. James over Lutheran South 28-14. Jefferson over Cuba 35-0. As we look around the area or the state elsewhere, at last report, KU was on top of Kansas on top of Missouri State in football 24-10. Try to keep you updated on that. As we check other area scores. And again, you can follow us and follow along. If you're following us or watching live or listening live on Facebook, you can go to the Facebook chat or to Twitter and chat with us, and that'll pop up on our live page here, as we will enable our chats here, our chat bar, to be up so that folks can actually chat, and restream.io. But you're listening to the Scoreboard Guy on high school. It's not high school game day. It's Friday Night Live. Elsewhere, Jasper in the fourth quarter is on top. Rich Hill's on top of Jasper, 54-18 in the fourth quarter. St. Pius X in the fourth quarter leads St. Michael 59-21. Platte Valley is on top of Princeton. That game has gone final. Platte Valley defeats Princeton in 8-man football, 64-24. Another final, St. Dominic defeats Priory, 43-6. In the fourth quarter, Perryville leads Windsor 12-0. Also in the fourth quarter, Warrensburg on top of St. Charles 12-6. Lafayette in the fourth quarter leads Fox 49-18. Final score, Oak Park defeats Ruskin 44-0. In the fourth quarter, Lee Summit North on top of Park Hill South 33-24. And we've gone final at St. Charles as Howell North defeats St. Charles West 14-0. Kearney in the fourth quarter leads Fort Osage 21-14. Eureka in a final score defeats Hazelwood West 52-0. Cameron defeats Southeast 55-14. That game has gone final. And at last report, Central leads St. Joe Benton 33-0. That game in the third quarter. Big game in the area, in the state. Grain Valley defeats Grandview leads Grandview 49-20. That game in the fourth quarter. Highland on top of Scotland County 14-6 in the fourth quarter. Elsewhere in the fourth quarter, Monroe City leads Montgomery County 30-20. Knob-Noster on top of Salem 38-0. That game in the fourth quarter as well. Also in the fourth, Lamar leads Logan Rogersville 27-6. Elsewhere in the third quarter, Herculaneum over Fredericktown 6-0. In the fourth quarter, Platte County leading Smithville 35-28. Elsewhere in the fourth quarter, Farmington on top of Potosi 52-7. Belton in the fourth quarter leads Winnetonka 21-15. SLU, and it's gone final. SLU defeats Timberland 42-7. South Shelby defeats Weststrand 49-6. That game having gone final as well. Winfield in the third quarter at last report leads Mark Twain 20-6. Elsewhere in the third quarter, West Plains on top of Glendale 21-5. West Platte leads South Harrison 33-16. That game in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, Nottoway Valley over King City 26-16. Waynesville, and that's gone final. Waynesville defeats Parkview 21-6. We expect to hear from Alan Hilliard from Alan Hilliard Sports here at 9:45. Actually, we'll be visiting with Coach Tom Cox at 9:45 as well. So, Alan, if you're listening, we'll have you call in at 10. Elsewhere, Webb City defeats Carl Junction. Warrenton, final score, Warrenton defeats Washington 21-8. And in the fourth quarter, Warsaw over Versailles 48-20. St. Francis Borgia in a final score, they defeat Union 52-7. Albany over East Atchison 22-18. Stockton over Miller 54-8. St. Joe Christian defeats Stewartsville 36-26. St. James defeats Lutheran South 64-26. Seneca shuts out Springfield Catholic 62-0. In the fourth quarter, Herman over South Callaway 22-8. In the third quarter, Dexter leads Sykeston 7-0. Kabul defeats Skyline 52-6. Other final, Scott City over St. Vincent 16-14. And in the third quarter, Salisbury over Carrollton 30-8. We will step away, take a quick time out here. You're listening to Friday Night Live on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get a $500 cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine. Plus, unlock your code to claim $500 Chevy CyberCash. Visit ChevyCyberCash.com today.
Imagine a bank that goes where you go. Creating seamless solutions for every step in your financial journey, allowing you to manage your money the way you want to, with a banking relationship that makes every day extraordinary. Imagine a world full of possibilities, always within reach. Central Bank. We do banking better.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 290,000 participants here in Missouri who take part in high school sports or activities.
Hey, welcome back to Friday Night Live here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Presented by our Team of the Week sponsor, Liona, Labor's Local 663, who reminds us, drive safely in work zones. Those folks want to go home to their families as well. Liona, Labor's Local 663. Also presented by Great Southern Bank. Great Southern Bank with more than 100 locations in 6 states. Great Southern Bank. They care as much about your money as you do. Member FDIC. We went through the scores from last night. We're expecting to hear from Coach Mount Vernon Mountaineer head football coach Tom Cox here in just a little bit. Looking around the state, some of the scores here as we have gotten them in. That's just now coming in. Rockbridge, and that's a final. I'm sorry, that's not a final. 46-0 at last report over Smith Cotton. Richmond in the fourth quarter trails Oak Grove 21-7. Ray-Pec in the fourth quarter leads Park Hill 21-14. Also in the fourth quarter, Nevada on top of Reed Spring. I believe that has gone final. That was 46-19 at that time. It is a final. Father Tolton defeats Putnam County 42-0. In the fourth quarter, Penny leads Gallatin 28-0. Bowling Green has defeated Palmyra 44-8. Also a final, Moberly defeats O-School, the Osage 21-14. A final from Odessa as Odessa defeats Clinton 40-0. Nixa has defeated Neosho 46-17. Worth County, and that's a final 74-18 over Mound City. Southern Boone, and has gone final. Southern Boone defeats Mexico 49-14. Marionville over Willow Springs 70-6. McDonald County defeats Marshfield 34-13. At the half, last score from Louisiana. Louisiana leads Crystal City 6-0. That game at the half. In the fourth quarter, North Callaway is on top of Macon 20-14. We have a final from Lone Jack as Midway shuts out Lone Jack 36-0. In the fourth quarter, it's Adrian on top of Liberty 40-28. Elsewhere, Lockwood on top of Drexel in 8-man action 42-30. That game in the fourth quarter. Also in the fourth quarter, Lexington leads Polo 18-15. Liberal on top of Greenfield 20-8 in the third quarter. Lebanon has defeated Hillcrest 49-0. Trenton, and that's gone final. Trenton over Lathrop 27-12. And we are joined now by the Mount Vernon Mountaineers head football coach Tom Cox. Coach Cox, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Guy.
Coach, big win last night over a big rival there at Monette. Kind of got out early. There was 35-0 at half. Talk about that first half for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, it was crazy. We won the toss and deferred, and Monette took the opening kickoff. We were able to go 3 plays and out. Got good field position on a nice punt return by Ryder Damp. And then I believe in 4 plays, we were able to score. Really a nice job by our offense. And then, just kind of things kept rolling from that point. We got a fumble, and then we turned it back over to them on an exchange between our quarterback, Gavin Johnston, and a running back, Braden Dotson, which rarely happens, but it did then. But again, our defense held, and then things just started to click for us. We got a couple of touchdown passes from Johnston to Braxton Horton. We got a touchdown run from Braden Dodson, actually 2 from him at that point. And that first and second quarter, we looked up at the end of the first half and we were up 35-0. So it was a great way to start, and just maybe one of those games for Monette where things kind of go wrong, but they certainly were right for us.
Coach, talk a little bit about the offensive line. Seems to have, at least last night, had a lot of success keeping Gavin Johnston clean. In McDonald County, a very good team. You beat in week 1, 23-13 on the road. How important is it for that offensive line to be able to keep guys off of what maybe or some consider one of the better quarterbacks in Southwest Missouri?
Well, they have really done a good job. We've got 3 guys back from last year that played, as young guys. And Cade Jenkins is our center, and he's been very, very valuable for us because we don't have a ton of depth there. And so he moves out to tackle sometimes, and Peyton Jones comes in at center for us. So it's been a group of 6 guys that have really done a good job keeping Gavin protected. This will be the second week in a row we got by without any sacks. I think we threw it 24 times the other night, and he came clean on all of those. He completed. He actually threw 21 of those passes and completed 14 of them. And so it was a good night for that. And Braden Dotson had a nice night running the ball as well. So it was a good combination of run and pass for us, which is what we like to be. We feel like we're better when people don't know whether we're going to throw it or we're going to run it.
As you look at that Big 8 conference, I believe there's 4 or 5 Class 4 schools, and you get the privilege of playing all of them this year.
There are 5 of them, and we played all 5 of them last year. And then, of course, we get to turn around and do it again this year. Only this year, we only have 4 home games out of the 9 regular scheduled games. And unfortunately, all 5 of those are like about the farthest away you can go. I mean, our 5 road games. So it's a tough schedule for us. I really think the Big 8 is super strong this year, and our crossover games are with McDonald County, with Monette, with Nevada. And so, 3 good programs right there that are all much, much bigger than us. So I felt good about coming out with the win last night. We did not anticipate the game going like it did. But again, we kind of got on a roll, and our defense played really, really good. They didn't score until like 3 minutes and 33 seconds left to go in the game. And we were hoping for the shutout, but we had our young guys in there, and they did a good job of making them drive the field, but they did punch it in at the end.
You've got a big rivalry game here this week where you can kind of throw the records out, but you get them at home, and that's the Aurora Hound Dogs. What do you know about the Hound Dogs coming in on Friday?
Well, I just drove in from home to get home from the game at Aurora against Cassville, and it was a really, really good game. Both teams played really well. Both teams gave the other team opportunities to win, and Aurora scored their second touchdown with just over a couple of minutes to play, and they were down 9, went for 2, and didn't make it. And so at that point, I exited. I don't know what the final score was, but I assume it was that margin of victory for Cassville. But it was really a good game. I mean, very, very physical game. Both teams, they threw it some, but they're both, ground-based offenses. And Aurora played really physical. They've got some good size up front, and then they have some really good speed and quickness on the outside. So it's not going to be any kind of pushover, I wouldn't think, for either team. I at least, hope it's not. We want to be physical as well, and we want to try to mix it up like we have the last 2 weeks.
Well, outstanding. Well, Coach, any surprises as your district comes out here last Friday? Any surprise there?
Oh my gosh, this is the third year in a row that we have been surprised. We're historically been Class 3 team, and then 2 years ago we opened it up and we were Class 2, totally floored by that. And then last year again, we thought that we had a chance to move up again, and sure enough, we were Class 2 as well, and Seneca was Class 2, and that's who we lost the district championship to last year. And then this year we thought we might be Class 2 again because our enrollment hasn't really changed much. We knew Seneca's had changed, and sure enough, we opened it up and we're in Class 3 along with Seneca, and Lamar stayed Class 2. So pretty interesting dynamics in that whole thing, waiting until the day, opening day, game day, to find out what class you're in or what district you're in. But I certainly understand why the state has to do it that way, because so many teams are dropping down a class, or like going 8-man, or they're dropping their program altogether. And so they wait until the very last second to make sure these teams are going to play before they do all the calculations and do the divisions. And so Class 3 for us this year, we're glad to be back. It feels like home. We've got, Cassville and Aurora and Seneca, and so it's interesting, but we're glad to be there.
It's all Big 8 teams with you add in Reed Spring, East Newton, and Hollister there. Everybody's in your conference.
Yeah. So we've got a tall task ahead of us, but one I think that we certainly are hoping to be up for.
You bet. Well, Coach, as always, I appreciate you being generous with your time, and I got to get down there last night. Don't get out much on Friday nights because of the Scoreboard show and all the stuff that's going on, but thought I'm going to take advantage of it, and got to go home and stand on the sidelines over there with the chain crew who I kind of grew up with. So
yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
You were over there with some characters then.
I was indeed. It was a lot of fun. But Coach, thanks again, and we look forward to visiting with you down the road.
All right. Thank you, Guy.
You bet. Tom Cox there from Mount Vernon, the Mountaineers, 2-0 on the season. They've got 51.5 points in their district standings right now. Reed Spring is 1-0. Well, they went 1-1 now. They had 45. I'm not sure where they're going to fall now. They do get the bonus points for playing up as well, because they played Nevada, who's a Class 4 school. So we'll look and see and kind of check on that as the night goes on. And we certainly glad or appreciate you tuning in. And once again, hey, just remember to put that seatbelt on. This is 3 seconds, and it could save your life. Be safe, be smart, be here tomorrow. We'll run through some of the finals that continue to come in. Here we've got a final score: Rich Hill over Jasper, 54-18. Elsewhere, a final: St. Pius X over St. Michael Archangel, 59-21. Final score: Platte Valley defeats Princeton, 64-24. Also a final: St. Dominic over Priory, 43-6. Elsewhere, a final: Kirkwood defeats Pattonville, 10-7. That game has gone final as well. Elsewhere, final: Perryville defeats Windsor, 12-0. Final score: Parkway South over Northwest, 14-7. Final score: Warrensburg defeats St. Charles, 12-6. In the fourth quarter, Lafayette leads Fox, 55-18. Final: Oak Park over Ruskin, 44-0. Lee Summit North defeats Park Hill South, 33 – I'm sorry, that's not final. That's fourth quarter, 33-24. This is a final: Liberty North over Liberty, 31-7. Also a final: Francis Howell North defeats St. Charles West, 14-0. And just gone final, Lamar defeats Rogersville, 34-14. So that game has just gone final. Elsewhere, final score: Kearney over Fort Osage, 21-14. Eureka shuts out Hazelwood West, 52-0. Elsewhere, final: Cameron over Southeast, 55-14. Rockhurst defeats Blue Springs South, 47-10. Central defeats St. Joe Benton 54-6. In the fourth quarter, Grain Valley on top of Grandview 49-20. Highland on top of Scotland County 14-6. Monroe City over on top of Montgomery County 36-26 in the fourth quarter. Final score, Knob Noster defeats Salem 46-0. In the fourth quarter, that has gone final. Lamar defeats Logan Rogersville 34-14. Final score, Herculaneum over Fredericktown 14-0. In the fourth quarter, Smithville now trailing Platte County 41-36. That game in the fourth quarter. Final, Farmington over Potosi 52-7. In the fourth quarter, Belton over Winnetonka 21-15. In the fourth quarter, Jackson leads Francis Howell 17-14. Final score, the Junior Billikens from SLU defeat Timberland 42-7. Elsewhere, final score, South Shelby defeats West Strand 49-6. Winfield over Mark Twain 20-6. That game in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, West Plains leads Glendale 21-7. Final score, West Platte over South Harrison 45-36. Elsewhere, Nottoway Valley defeats King City 26-16. Waynesville defeats Parkview 21-18. So Warsaw over Versailles 48-27. In the fourth quarter, Valley leads Festus 13-0. Truman on top of William Chrisman at the half. That's a long time ago. 7-6. Final score, St. Francis Borgia over Union 52-7. Tipton over Lincoln 60-14. That game has gone final. Miller falls to Stockton 54-8. In the fourth quarter, St. Joseph Christian over Stewartsville 48-26. Final score, St. James, high mark of the night as they score 76 points and defeat Lutheran South 76-42. Seneca shuts out Springfield Catholic 62-0. In the fourth quarter, Herman on top of South Callaway 22-18. Kabul defeats Skyline 52-6. Scott City defeats St. Vincent 16-14. Salisbury over Carrollton 30-8. That game in the fourth quarter. Elsewhere, Stanberry over Rockport. Final score 52-36. Oak Grove on top of Richmond in the fourth quarter 34-20. Also in the fourth quarter, Ray-Pec leads Park Hill, and I believe that's gone south final 21-14. Nevada defeats Reed Spring 46-19. Father Tolton defeats Putnam County 42-0. And now joining us from Alan Hilliard Sports, who was at the Waynesville football game tonight, it's Mr. Alan Hilliard. Alan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing?
I am good. Kind of give us a rundown of the Waynesville contest tonight.
Well, it was a matchup back and forth in the first quarter till the Tigers broke away with a run, and they missed the extra point, but they led 6-0 at that point. They would come back at the closing end of the first quarter, pick up another touchdown, and that led them into halftime. And then Parkview would get in the groove a little bit in the third. They picked up a short run-in touchdown after a long pass and made the score 14-6. A couple more turnovers back and forth, and the Tigers capitalized on a long punt return, and that gave them a 21-6 victory in Waynesville.
So Waynesville now 1-1 on the season as they fall to Glendale a week ago. Glendale, last report, was behind West Plains, and I'm assuming that game has gone final at this time. And let's see if we can just find that here really quick. I know that Lebanon in the Ozark Conference, Lebanon defeats Hillcrest 56-7. Kickapoo in the fourth quarter is on top of Campton 38-21. West Plains at last report in the fourth quarter was up 21-5 over Glendale. But really, as you look at the Ozark Conference, is it Kickapoo, Lebanon and maybe Camdenton and then everyone else? Or can you throw a Bolivar in there who maybe a little bit of an upset last week over West Plains?
I wouldn't be afraid to throw Bolivar in there as a fourth, maybe jump in that third seat, but for sure it'd be Kickapoo and Camdenton, the top two, and I wouldn't write West Plains out of that yet either.
Well,
But
Lebanon's got to be, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
Lebanon's probably right there at the top as well.
Yeah, Lebanon, if, this was a college bowl, they'd have an automatic bid. They are right now probably the top performer in the Ozark Conference at the moment.
Anything that you've seen thus far surprise you early in the season outside of maybe that West Plains Bolivar score from a week ago?
Right now, not a lot here.
Yeah.
Because I expected Camdenton, Kickapoo to go either way there. Both teams are pretty strong.
Yeah. And Alan, we've got Matt Webb calling in from Maryville. Can you hold on just a second?
Sure.
Coach Webb, how are you, sir?
Good guy. How are you?
I'm going well, but things went really well for you tonight. Talk a little bit about that big win tonight at Harrisonville.
Well, I thought, we played a lot better in all three phases. Our point of emphasis this week was playing cleaner in all, four phases: offense, defense, kicking, and coaching. It's all got to go together. And I really felt like, we were able to do a lot of those things better. And the kids had a really good week of practice. That's where those things are worked on. And one thing we do here in Maryville is just like a lot of places, we got really good kids and players in our program, and they listen, and the point is, sometimes the teenagers nowadays, maybe they don't apply everything that's listening, but the challenge as a coach is to get them to apply things that you tell them to do. And our kids did a really good job of that tonight.
Got just a brutal schedule and a lot of travel just by virtue of where you are. You've got Blair Oaks last week, a very good, solid Blair Oaks team, then a Harrisonville team that's traditionally very good. You get a 50-12 win tonight. Talk about some of those kids that really stood up or stood out for you tonight for the Spoof Hounds.
Well, offensively, I thought our skill players, obviously in the statistical category, will show out in the fact that we were able to, our quarterback Derek Quinlan was able to complete some balls. But the impressive thing I think tonight was he completed his balls to 6 different receivers. And when we can do that and then be able to run the football, from a scheme standpoint, we were able to be more multiple. So I was very pleased with our skill players and are very pleased with our offensive line to be able to, run the football, and our backs did a good job running physical. It makes you multiple, and that's very tough to defend. And then overall defensively, I was really pleased with our defensive effort. Harrisonville has a really good running back in Nate Reynolds, who last year rushed for 1,700 yards, and last week against MICDS, he rushed for over 50 yards. So I think unofficially tonight we held him around 40 yards from what I've been told, and that's a great group effort to be able to hold a really talented back to that limited amount of yards.
Coach, coming out of this game, number one, a little bit of a travel for you. I don't know how far that is. It's got to be hour and a half, 2 hours. What did you come out of tonight's game relatively healthy for being early in the season?
Yeah, you bet. It's about a 2.5 hour drive down south Kansas City from where we're at. And, you can't ever get to Kansas City without rush hour traffic. That's one thing we like living up here in the sticks. It takes me about 3 minutes to get across Maryville on my moped because, I'm a poor teacher, so I need good gas mileage. But we get to Kansas City and it's that rush hour traffic is for the birds. But we were injury free, and nicks and bruises this time of year start hitting, and it's a physical game. So I was very fortunate to come out with no injuries. We got another road trip next week. Yeah, we're road dogs, 3 in a row. You got trip to Warrensburg, trip to Harrisonville, and now we go back to Chillicothe. So that's another long trip for us. So we enjoy these buses, Guy. If you could order some cooler temperature on these yellow buses, that'd be a lot better.
Hey, I tell you what, I was praying for it last week. It was something else, something to behold last week. Well, you're at Chillicothe. What do you know about their team, and what are you gonna have to do to come out on top?
Well, it's the start of MEC play. It's the start of conference, and there's a Chillicothe-Maryville rivalry goes back a lot of years, and both communities have a lot of pride in their football programs. And I very vividly remember a 2017 team that we went on to win a state championship that year, and Chillicothe got us in the regular season. On a really good, good hard-fought football game, and really took it to us, and we weren't able to stop the run. So we're going to have our challenges cut out because they're going to be ready to go. They got to win tonight. Everybody wants to start off 1-0 in conference, and it's going to be a battle. It always is. That's just kind of week in, week out. So you enjoy this win, but at the same time, you look forward to next week.
Yeah, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that 2017 state championship game may have been against the coach that was just on right in front of you at Mount Vernon.
It was good friends from Mount Vernon. It was a great afternoon for the Spoof Hounds. Beautiful afternoon in Columbia. I remember it well.
You bet. I was calling that game years and years ago. Seems like it was yesterday, but that's been 6 years ago. Flies by.
That's right. We're dating ourselves, Guy.
Yes, we are. We are. Well, Coach Webb, I certainly appreciate you, as always, being part of the Missouri Sports Network, and I wish and hope for you to have safe travels here as you've got a little while before you get home.
You bet. Always happy to share news about the Spoof Hounds, and what you guys do across the state of Missouri is always something that I think everybody should do. So happy to do it. Y'all have a good weekend.
All right, Coach. Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. You bet.
Coach Matt Webb there from Maryville Spoof Hounds, kind enough to join us from the bus here as they get a big win over a good Harrisonville program. And we'll check on some scores here. We're going to hear from Coach John Perry at Nixa here coming up in about 6 or 8 minutes. So we'll run through as many scores as we can until Coach Perry joins us. Might take a timeout in between now and then. It's only 10:07. Feels like it's a lot later than that. But we'll get you the finals that we have at this time. Rich Hill over Jasper, 54-18. St. Pius, let's refresh this here before we go on to make sure. So, yeah, St. Pius over St. Michael the Archangel, 59-21. That game is final. Platte Valley defeats Princeton, 64-24. St. Dominic over Priory, 43-6. Kirkwood outlasts Pattonville, 10-7. Perryville shuts out Windsor, 12-0. Was Parkway South over Northwest, 14-7. Warrensburg over St. Charles, 12-6. Lafayette defeats Fox, 55-25. Oak Park shuts out Ruskin, 44-0. And in the fourth quarter, last report, Lee Summit North on top of Park Hill South, 33-24. Liberty North, and they defeat Liberty 31-7. Hal North over St. Charles West, 14-0. Was Kearney over Fort Osage, 21-14. Eureka defeats Hazelwood West, 52-0. MICDS over Chaminade, 24-7. Was Cameron over Southeast, 55-14. Rockhurst defeats Blue Springs South, 47-10. It was Central over St. Joe Benton, 54-6. It was, in the fourth quarter, Green Valley on top of Grandview, 49-20. Highland defeats Scotland County, 14-6. Elsewhere, it was Crestridge over Wellington Napoleon, 55-42. In the fourth quarter, Monroe City leads Montgomery County, 44-26. Final score, Knobnoster defeats Salem, 44-0. Elsewhere, Lamar gets a little bit of a scare from Logan Rogersville, but they hang on 34-14. The game was much closer than that throughout the contest. Herculaneum shuts out Fredericktown, 14-0. Was Platte County over Smithville. That game has gone final, 43-36. Farmington defeats Potosi, 52-7. In the fourth quarter, Belton on top of Winnetonka, 28-17 at last report. At last report, Jackson over Francis Howe, 27-21. St. Louis University High School defeats Timberland, 42-7. South Shelby over West Strand, 49-6. Winfield at last report leading Mark Twain, 20-6. Final score, West Plains defeats Glendale, 21-7. I think there was a couple of safeties in that game. It was Glendale had 3, and end up with 7. It's about the only way you can do it. West Platte over South Harrison, 45-36. Nottoway Valley defeats King City, 26-16. Waynesville over Parkview, 21-6. Warrenton defeats Washington, 21-18. Warsaw over Versailles, 48-27. Van Far defeats Russellville, 36-6. In the fourth quarter, Valley leading Festus 13-0 at last report. Final score, Borgia defeats Union, 52-7. Final, Albany over East Atchison, 22-18. Stockton beats Miller, 54-8. At last report, St. Joe Christian over Stewartsville, 56-32. St. James defeats Lutheran South, 76-42. Seneca shuts out Springfield Catholic, 62-0. Kabul over Skyline, 52-6. Scott City defeats St. Vincent, 16-14. Salisbury, at last report, on top of Carrollton, 30-8. Final score, Rockwood Summit defeats Marquette, 27-21. Rockbridge shuts out Smith Cotton, 66-0. Stanberry over Rockport, 52-36. Oak Grove defeats Richmond, 34-20. That game in the fourth quarter, that's not gone final yet. Also, Ray-Pec on top of Park Hill, 21-14. Final score, Nevada defeats Reed Spring, 46-19. Father Tolton over Putnam County, 42-0. Penny defeats Gallatin, 28-0. Final score, Francis Howell Central over Pacific, 31-28. Bowling Green defeats Palmyra, 44-8. Moberly defeats Osage, 21-14. I apologize for that. Had to cough, so I had to use the cough button there. Odessa over Clinton, 40-0. St. Clair defeats North County, 19-7. Nixa defeats Neosho, 46-17. North County over Mound City, 74-18. Southern Boone over Mexico, 49-14. Marionville defeats Willow Springs, 70-6. McDonald County over Marshfield, 34-14. Louisiana defeats Crystal City, 12-8. Was North Callaway over Macon, 20-14. Midway defeats Lone Jack, 36-0. Adrian over Liberty, 46-28. Drexel defeats Lockwood, 52-48. Polo over Lexington, 22-18. Lebanon defeats Hillcrest, 56-7. Trenton over Lathrop, 27-12. Lafayette County defeats Lawson, 69-7. Ladue over Lindbergh, 17-7. Was Kelly over Malden, 44-14. Holt defeats Liberty, 49-6. Houston over Fayette, 55-6. Holden defeats Mid-Buchanan, 27-14. Jeff City Elias over Hickman, 42-12. Maryville defeats Harrisonville, 50-12. Centralia over Hallsville, 65-36. Hannibal defeats Jeff City, 42-21. Forsyth over Buffalo, 28-12. New Madrid County over East Prairie, 52-32. Mountain Grove defeats El Dorado Springs, 28-8. East Buchanan over Savannah, 14-0. Jefferson defeats Cuba, 42-0. College Heights Christian over Oric, 66-60 in a high-scoring game. Concordia over Hardin Central, 14-6. Sarcoxy defeats Clever, 40-6. That was last night. Windsor over Cole Camp, 22-20. Clark County defeats Harrisburg, 35-6. Chaffee over Charleston, 14-12. Chillicothe over Kirksville, 42-26, as we await now Nixa head coach John Perry, as Nixa did get a victory tonight over Neosho in a game that was fairly close in the beginning. And Nixa kind of warmed down and pulled away. And we'll talk to Coach John Perry about that contest. And Coach Perry calling in now. And we welcome to the show Nixa Eagles head football coach John Perry. Coach Perry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, big win tonight over a very good Neosho team. Tell us a little bit about tonight's contest.
Well, it was back and forth a little bit, and then we, pulled away. I think we ended up having over 700 yards of offense. We might have had 700 yards of penalties too, but we ended up pulling away in the second half, put together, some great drives, got a few stops. They drove it a little bit in between the 20s, but the defense came up with a couple of great stops. But I thought both teams played really, really hard. There was a lot of flags tonight. We got to get that cleaned up. But I thought we rushed the ball well, we threw the ball well, ran to the ball well. We just got some things to get cleaned up.
As you look at tonight's contest, what adjustments did you have to kind of make mid-game? Because it was kind of back and forth there early before you kind of started pulling away. Did you wear them down, or was it some adjustments that you made?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think we ever punted on the night. They did score a couple times, but they do a really good job on offense. They have a good offensive scheme. They're going to score points probably every, Friday night. What was discussed at halftime was the penalties. We kept letting them keep drives alive with penalties, and we'd have a call here, a call there. And it was us. We're sloppy in that category. So at halftime, that was the thing we wanted to work on. We want to work on these and make them earn everything they did and not give them first downs, and us not take anything away from ourselves by penalties.
As you look at tonight's contest, and I know you're not home yet, still on the bus, but did you come out of tonight relatively healthy for being week 2?
Yeah, we did, man. We got everybody healthy. Got our got a running back tonight. We've got 2 really good running backs that we just kind of went back and forth with them, and I think together they rushed for 450 yards tonight. And then we threw for another close to 300 yards. So we came out healthy. We're ready to go back to work and get ready for Carthage to roll into town.
Carthage, as you look at Carthage and the challenges they possessed, they've been a very good team over the last couple of years. Kind of stumbled a little bit early, but I don't imagine they're going to stay down very long. What challenges do they possess for you coming into town next week?
Carthage is a program that they graduated a great senior class, but they are one of the best coached football teams in Southwest Missouri. They're going to do what they do. They're going to do it extremely well, and we will absolutely have our hands full just because they have a program. They've been successful for a long time over there. They didn't just start playing football, so they will come in ready to play. I can assure you, we will have our hands full.
And you look at the COC, and Carthage tonight falls again to Branson, 28-14. I was talking a little bit with Coach Cornelson a little bit earlier with regards to Republic, and he was talking about how much better even the teams maybe at the bottom of the COC have gotten, and that's testament tonight with Branson defeating Carthage 28-14, and what Willard was able to do last night, kind of staying close to a Joplin team. So everybody in the COC is kind of getting better, and that's got to be challenging.
Yeah, it's evening out. I mean, I think everybody's got good players. Everybody's got great coaches, and are working really hard at it. And as you can see from the scores, the last couple of days, it is the gap's becoming a lot closer, between the haves and the have-nots.
Very good. Well, Coach, I tell you what, I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time here on a bus ride home. And congratulations on the victory, and we look forward to seeing you at the tip-off or the quarterback club here coming up in the near future at Bambino's. But best of luck, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again.
Thank you, man. You do a great job. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Coach. John Perry there, kind enough to join us here on Friday Night Live. And I tell you what, it's kind of been a whirlwind already. We've had three coaches, and of course, Alan Hilliard from Alan Hilliard Sports stepped in to talk a little bit about Waynesville. We may try and get him back on the line. We've reached out to a couple other coaches. We'll see if we can't get Rockbridge's coach, Matt Perkins, on, and maybe Andy Learman from Liberty North here as we go on in the show. It's 10:21, and show, as always, brought to you by Doak Propane, the Bank of Billings. Bank of Billings, established in 1889, the oldest bank in Christian County, with locations in Billings and Marionville to suit your needs. Also presented by Bambino's. Bambino's and the Walnut Street Inn, part of our Quarterback Club luncheons, will take place at Bambino's every Monday except this Monday because it's a Labor Day. But we will be meeting for the remainder of the season starting on September the 11th. We'll bring coaches in from about 22 different area high schools and Springfield schools from around Springfield, Missouri. They come in, they get to visit. College coaches a lot of times are there as well. We look forward to seeing you at Bambino's Monday, September the 11th. You can show up at 11 o'clock. They open at 11. Coaches start speaking at noon. Buffet-style dinner, and I tell you what, it is top-notch. The room is nice. They've got speakers, a microphone, all set up for us there at Bambino's. Andy Fawcett does a great job with, of course, the two Bambino's locations and the Walnut Street Inn. We're going to step away here and take a quick time out as you're listening to Friday Night Live right here on the Missouri Sports Network. Our chat box is up. Let us know what you think. Be back after these messages.
Imagine a bank that goes where you go, creating seamless solutions for every step in your financial journey, allowing you to manage your money the way you want to, with a banking relationship that makes every day extraordinary. Imagine a world full of possibilities, always within reach. Central Bank. We do banking better.
The Walnut Street Inn is located in the heart of Springfield on historic Walnut Street, just blocks away from the Missouri State Campus, Hammons Field, Great Southern Arena, and downtown Springfield. The Walnut Street Inn features newly remodeled rooms, breakfast served daily, and a friendly, accommodating staff. The Walnut Street Inn is also a great venue for private events. Book your stay or get more information at walnutstreetinn.com or call 417-864-6346.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 290,000 participants here in Missouri who take part in high school sports or activities.
Hey, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. So far, we've got to visit with Mount Vernon head football coach Tom Cox. We talked with Alan Hilliard a little bit, with Alan Hilliard Sports coming out of that Waynesville game. We got to speak with Matt Webb from Maryville. John Perry joined us from Nixa on the bus as well. We're waiting now to hear from Rockbridge head coach Matt Perkins. We'll run through the scores here once again here in the state of Missouri. We've got most of the scores pretty much up as we'll refresh these pages, and there's some scores not there yet, but we're doing the best we can. Here we are, a one-man show tonight. Here, so let's run through. Got about 5 minutes until Coach Perkins calls in. So we'll start off. For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to and not watching. You can't be watching it, I guess. But I tell you what, I've got my camera off because there's a lot of stuff going on in here in the background, and not sure that some of the stuff could be put on television because I've got some games, college games going on behind me. So want to make sure we're keeping it legal here at the Missouri Sports Network, and our founder and owner may be jumping in here just a little bit here. He had a basketball game tonight, did Coach Archer. So he was on the road at Billings coaching junior high basketball. So we are awaiting his arrival as well in the green room. But we'll go through the scoreboard right now as we have them. The finals we have at this time: Rich Hill over Jasper 54-18. It was St. Pius X over St. Michael the Archangel 59-21. Elsewhere, Platte Valley defeats Princeton 64-24. It was St. Dominic on top of Priory 43-6. Kirkwood defeats Pattonville 10-7. Perryville over Windsor 12-0. Was Parkway South over Northwest 14-7. Warrensburg defeats St. Charles 12-6. Lafayette over Fox 55-25. Oak Park defeats Ruskin 44-0. Raytown South over North Kansas City 27-10. Lee Summit North over Park Hill South 39-24. And we'll check the Misha website here real quick and see if they've got any of the districts updated. And we may have to wait till tomorrow to get to that. It's based on if you're playing up a class, every class you play up, you get a 10 bonus points. And then you can only get as many as 13 points for a victory. So if you win by 50, it's still just 13 plus 13 points. So if you play two classes up and you win by 13, then that's 33 points that you collect. And those numbers accumulate the entire season. And the most points that you can lose is 13. And that's if you play someone in your class and get beat by 13 or 13 plus. If you play up two classes and get beat by 13, heck, you're still going to get 7 points. So that's kind of how that all works. So we'll keep on top of that as well. Elsewhere, final score: Staley defeats Lee Summit 21-13. Liberty North over Liberty 31-7. I thought I had Coach Learman's cell number, but I don't. So 31-7, Liberty North over Liberty. Francis Howell North defeats St. Charles West 14-0. It was Kearney over Fort Osage 21-14. Eureka defeats Hazelwood West 52-0. MICDS over Chaminade 24-7. It was Cameron defeating Southeast 55-14. Rockhurst over Blue Springs South 47-10. Central out of St. Joe defeats St. Joe Benton 54-6. Grain Valley over Grandview 49-28. Highland defeats Scotland County 14-6. Crestridge over Wellington Napoleon 55-42. Monroe City over Montgomery County 44-34. Knob Noster over Salem 46-0. Lamar defeats Rogersville 34-14. Herculaneum over Fredericktown 14-0. It was Lincoln over Kansas City Center 27-2. Platte County defeats Smithville 43-36. Got to visit with Coach Ambrosen from Smithville earlier today, and he knew it was going to be a handful. That's a game last year that was 10-7. Smithville won. So they put 17 points on the board. Last year, they put 79 points on the board this year. Pleasant Hill over Lafayette, 60-14. Farmington defeats Potosi, 52-7. It was Belton over Winnetonka, 28-17. Francis Howell defeats Jackson. Oh, that's in the fourth quarter. Has not gone final. That was the latest. 28-27. Slough defeats Timberland, 42-7. South Shelby over West Strand, 49-6. Winfield over Mark Twain, 32-6. It was West Plains over Glendale, 21-7. West Platte defeats South Harrison, 45-36. Nottoway Valley over King City, 26-16. Waynesville defeats Parkview, 21-6. Warrenton over Washington, 21-18. Warsaw defeats Versailles, 48-27. Van Far over Russellville 36-6. Valley at last report was leading Festus 13-0. Final score, William Chrisman over Truman 20-14. St. Francis Borgia defeats Union 52-7. Tipton over Lincoln 60-14. Lutheran over Summit Christian 34-12. Albany defeats East Atchison 22-18. St. Pius X over Bishop DeBerg 74-14. St. Joe Christian over Stewartsville 62-44 at last report. St. James defeats Lutheran South 76-42. Seneca shuts out Springfield Catholic 62-14. Herman defeats South Callaway 28-24. Kabul over Skyline 52-6. Scott City defeats St. Vincent 16-14. Salisbury over Carrollton 38-18. Rockwood Summit over Marquette 27-21. Rockbridge defeats Smith Cotton 66-0. And we're waiting Matt Perkins, Rockbridge head coach, to join us here on Friday Night Live. Stanberry over Rockport 52-36. Oak Grove defeats Richmond 42-20. Raymore Peculiar over Park Hill 28-14. It was Nevada over Reed Spring 46-19. Father Tolton over Putnam County 42-0. Penny defeats Gallatin 28-0. Howell Central over Pacific 31-28. Bowling Green defeats Palmyra 44-8. Was Moberly over Osage 21-14. Odessa defeats Clinton 40-0. St. Clair over North County 19-7. North Platte defeats Maysville 32-0. Nixa over Neosho 46-17. Worth County over Mound City 74-18. Southern Boone defeats Mexico 49-14. Marionville over Willow Springs 70-6. McDonald County over Marshfield 34-14. Louisiana over Crystal City 12-8. North Callaway defeats Macon 20-14. Midway over Lone Jack 36-0. Adrian over Liberty 46-28. Drexel defeats Lockwood 52-48. Polo over Lexington 22-18. Lebanon defeats Hillcrest 56-7. Trenton over Lathrop 27-12. Lafayette County over Lawson 69-7. Ladue defeats Lindbergh 17-7. Kelly over Malden 44-14. Holt defeats Liberty 49-6. Houston over Fayette 55-6. Mid Buchanan falls to Holden 27-14. Helias over Hickman 42-12. Maryville defeats Harrisonville 50-12. Centralia over Hallsville 65-36. Hannibal defeats Jefferson City 42-21. New Madrid County over East Prairie 52-32. Mountain Grove over El Dorado Springs 28-8. East Buchanan over Savannah 14-0. Jefferson over Cuba 42-0. And College Heights Christian defeats Oric 66-60. I'm going to step away, take a quick time out here. You're listening to and watching the Missouri Sports Network, our Friday Night Live on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Back after this.
Chevy Silverado. It's got the power you want and the capability you need to do the job, so you can get to the important work. Find new moments, find new roads. Get a $500 cash allowance on all 2022 Silverado pickups with a 2.7-liter turbo engine. Plus, unlock your code to claim $500 Chevy CyberCash. Visit ChevyCyberCash.com today.
Imagine a bank that goes where you go, creating seamless solutions for every step in your financial journey, allowing you to manage your money the way you want to, with a banking relationship that makes every day extraordinary. Imagine a world full of possibilities, always within reach. Central Bank. We do banking better.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 290,000 participants here in Missouri who take part in high school sports or activities.
Welcome back to Friday Night Live here on the Missouri Sports Network. Certainly glad that you have tuned in. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. As you look around the landscape here of high school football, and I mentioned, Branson beating Carthage 28-14. Aaron Hafner, that second-year head coach there at Branson. Willard under Frank Tristan, he's in his third year. That COC has gotten better, and from the bottom up, kind of a raising tide lifts all boats. So it's kind of been an interesting start to this season. I mentioned, and I for some reason can't find a Bolivar score, but they took on Rolla tonight, and maybe we can get Alan Hilliard, if he's tuned in, if he's watching on YouTube, to kind of let us know what is going on here, and we'll reach out to a couple other coaches here. But any games surprise you, you can go to the chat on our Facebook or YouTube and chat with us online about scores from around the state. We did get some news today, and I know that a lot of you have been following along, that Kyla Mabin's the quarterback who transferred from Hillcrest or from Kickapoo. I don't need to get him any more trouble than he's already in. From Kickapoo to Glendale, a judge today denied their temporary restraining order. So at this point, he is still ineligible. And I hate to see that for a kid that's a senior. And I don't know all of the circumstances for why he made the decision to move. I know it's been put in the paper. I've had some conversations with some folks. I know what the attorneys are saying, what the school is saying, what SPS is saying, and what Misha is saying, and they don't match up, obviously, or he would be eligible. But for some reason, I think maybe we've lost track of what's good for the kid. I've seen folks transfer. Being a former high school administrator and athletic director, I dealt with transfers coming in. I dealt with transfers going out. Had one kid that transferred to us that was in a real bad home situation. That really wasn't a home situation because both of his parents had been put in prison. And he moved in with his grandmother, who happened to live in our district, and he was ruled ineligible, transferring for athletic reasons. Well, it wasn't. Now, that's been 20 years ago. I know things have changed, and I know that the landscape has changed with NIL and the law that Governor Parson signed in. But what maybe are your thoughts there? And I don't want to get, this is not a political statement. Try to kind of stay away from those. But you can see all the scores at scoreboardguy.net. Coach Archer is he may not even be home yet, so we'll see there. I've reached out to him a little bit, and we might get Alan Hilliard back on the phone. We've reached out to Matt Perkins, the head football coach at Columbia Rockbridge, and he was going to call here at 10:30. But teams are on buses. We've heard it all evening with Maryville head coach Matt Webb dealing with the Kansas City traffic as he's trying to get home and on a school bus. Coach Perry coming back from Neosho on a school bus as well. If you're tuned in, like I said, you can go right here to our chat and type your message And see if it shows up on the chat. So it went out. I just said something out on YouTube and Facebook. It did not go out on Twitter. So we'll see what happens here. And we'll see what maybe we'll hear back from Alan Hilliard a little bit, because he's probably not home yet either. He had a game between Waynesville and Parkview. I'm not even sure where that game was, but if it was Waynesville, he's probably a little bit closer to home there. We'll check our tweets. Here's what's going on. Nevada, you got a 46-19 win over Reed Spring. We'll look at maybe the state rankings. Were released earlier this week, and we welcome back in from Alan Hilliard Sports. Alan Hilliard, did you make it home yet?
I'm almost home. Had to stop and grab some dinner on the way, but nothing like a good Friday night of football.
It's not. The weather kind of broke. It was a lot nicer than it was, a week ago. Dealing with the heat and the over 100-degree heat indexes. Tonight was not anywhere near that. We do have another final that just came in as Salem, Arkansas came back and they defeat Thayer 38-28. That game going final just a little bit ago. Marshall over Marshall falls to Boonville 42-20. I have not seen a Bolivar Rolla score. Have you seen a Bolivar Rolla score?
I have not. That is a score I've been looking for all night, and I really don't have any updates on that. I know their booster club usually updates that pretty well, but I have not seen anything on my end anyway.
All right, well, Lee Summit North over Park Hill South 39-24. McDonald County over Marshfield 34-14. Herculaneum shuts out Fredericktown, and it's, there's so many schools now playing with the Class 6 going up 10 schools. Now, as they kind of divide their up, they kind of look similar to what Class 1 looked like with 8 districts. Now, Class 1 just having the 4 districts. In Class 1, that's going to change the landscape a little bit, where everyone now is going to finish on that same weekend for the state championships there at Faroe Field in Columbia.
Oh, absolutely. And just some of the newer schools moving up, Waynesville being one of them, which is a big difference. They've pretty much been Class 5 for the last, 15 years or 4 or 5, the not upper class.
Yeah, as you look at that Class 6, and we can kind of run through kind of some of the districts here at Misha with regards to the classifications that came out last Friday morning, as they just got those released. And you look at the class and district assignments, and in Class 1, as I mentioned, there's just the 4 districts. And I believe there's 9 teams in each district, so just the 36 schools there in Class 1. But you've got a District 1 that's got Ash Grove in it, Marionville, Miller, Pierce City. But then you look, they've got Kabul, Charleston, Hayti, Portageville, and Thayer. So maybe area-wise, maybe one of the larger districts in any class in the state when you look at, the likes of a Pierce City having to possibly travel all the way to Hayti. That's a country mile to get down there. That's a long way to travel. And then as you look at the Class 6, and you mentioned Waynesville moving up in Class 6, and Waynesville now is in with Joplin, Kickapoo, Nixon, Ozark, who all remain Class 6. I was a little bit surprised to see that Republic didn't move up into Class 6. That area is just booming so much. But Waynesville, with the Fort Leonard Wood being right there, they got kids that come in and out all the time.
Yeah, and there's some large classes of over 500 graduating classes, at the 9th grade and middle school level right now. So the growth of this area, along with the military, is really unpredictable here. You could change 500 kids in a matter of a year sometimes.
Elsewhere in Class 6, Jackson, Lindbergh, Northwest Cedar Hill, Oakville, and Seckman are in Class 1. Christian Brothers, Francis Howell, Kirkwood, Lafayette, Marquette, and Vianney are in District 2. DeSmet, Hazelwood, Central, Hazelwood West, Pattonville, Rittenhour, and Slough are in District 3. And then Francis Howell Central, Fort Zumwalt West, Hickman, Rockbridge, and Troy Buchanan are in District 4. District 6, we talked about District 5 with Joplin, Kickapoo, Nixa, Ozark, and Waynesville. District 6 is Lee Summit North, Lee Summit West, Ray-Pec, and Rockhurst. And then 7 is Blue Springs South, Liberty North, and Truman. And then it winds out with, wraps up with District 8, which is Central out of St. Joe, Oak Park, Park Hill South, and Staley. Well, have you, any of this tonight's scores surprise you at all?
The one that I heard was the St. James score, which I was not aware of at the time, and that's a really high-scoring game for a football game.
Yeah, especially it's not 8-man. This is 11-man football, and it was, what was it, 72-64, something like that. It was a very high-scoring game. I don't have it pulled up in front of me. Other scores that kind of surprised me was, Logan Rogersville kind of hung around with Lamar. Lamar kind of put him away towards the end. It was 7-6 at one time. As you look at Logan Rogersville and what Coach Talbert's been able to do, they've got very physical. They've got new facilities over there, and just kind of a renewed energy there. And, of course, Lamar, they've been to 10 of the last 12 state championship games, and they've won 8 of them. It was 25-6 at one time, but it was 7-6, then 13-6, and then 25-6. They kind of started pulling away there in that early in that third quarter, similar to what Nixa did to Neosho. So, kind of looking forward to next week. And as you look at next week's scoreboard number 1, what do you have on your schedule for next week?
I will be in Camdenton.
And who do they have?
They will host Waynesville next week. That'll be broadcast amongst quite a few other people that game, as football and those parts is, as you know, is very popular in that part of the state there.
Yeah, it's Camdenton. It's this first time, 50 years, there's not been a shore on that sidelines or on the roster?
And, in fact, this is the first time in 40 years at Waynesville there hasn't been a Vernon on the football field at the same time.
As you look at the schedule for next week, Parkview's here at Bolivar. Bolivar did lose tonight. That game, they got shut out 35-0. So that's a bit of a surprise there. But, yes, they did fall to Rolla 35-0. So Bolivar and Parkview will match up. Parkview will be 0-2. Bolivar 1-1. That's an Ozark Conference game there. Waynesville, as you mentioned, at Camdenton. Neosho's at Carl Junction. Both those teams are 0-2, but have played well, especially early in their contest in the first 2 weeks. Cardinal Ritter's at Duchesne. Cardinal Ritter's kind of been a steamboat. Jackson 0-1. I don't know what they did tonight, but Jackson will be at Farmington next week. Lindbergh is at Fox. Not seeing really any other games. St. James, a team that scored 72 points tonight. They're going to be at Herman next week. Marshville's at Hollister. That's a good Big 8 conference matchup there. Ozark is at Joplin. Joplin 2-0. But Joplin struggled a little bit last night with Willard. Ozark, of course, they kind of took it on the chin last night from Republic. But Ozark 1-1. A lot of excitement over there with the new coach at Ozark. Penny's at Lawson. Marionville takes on Lighthouse Christian. Marionville steamrolled tonight. Logan Rogersville, McDonald County. That might be a good game next week as well in the Big 8. Ava's at Mountain Grove. Ava gets a big win tonight. Carthage Carthage comes into Nixa at 0-2 next week, and I don't know that Carthage has been 0-2 in the last 2 decades. So we'll see what happens there at Nixa. Nixa obviously 700 yards total offense tonight in their contest. Glendale is at Rolla next week. Cassville is at Seneca. Seneca looks awfully good right now, and I don't know if Seneca jumped to Class 3, so they're not in that district with Lamar. They moved up, and they're in with Mount Vernon and Hollister in that group. They're in that Class 3 district. So lots of games, intriguing games coming up next week, and like you said, you're going to be at Camdenton. So lots of fun. But, Alan, hey, I appreciate you jumping on here, telling us a little bit about Waynesville and some of the things going on there in your neck of the woods. And, hey, safe travels home and enjoy your dinner.
All right, not a problem. Talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye. Alan Hilliard from Alan Hilliard Sports. And I tell you what, that's going to about wrap it up for us here tonight. If you've got comments or questions, you can email at MissouriSportsNetwork@gmail.com. If you've got athletes of the week or team of the week, shoot us some stats, shoot us some information at MissouriSportsNetwork@gmail.com. And reminder to everyone that there will not be a quarterback luncheon club this week. It is Labor Day weekend. And one thing we might do here real quick before we get off the air, we might check in on the Missouri State. Everyone knows Mizzou won last night, and their opener was South Dakota. I'm going to see what Missouri State did tonight against Kansas. They had the lead 10-7 early in the second quarter, but I don't think kind of got away from a little bit. And they do lose 48-17. So, and that's typically what happens when you get Division I programs with the 93-man rosters and the NIL and money and all of that. They're just going to wear down those 53-man rosters that are allowed at the 1AA level. So, anyway, the Jayhawks get the win tonight over Missouri State, 48-17. We've covered all the other scores for you. Go to scoreboardguy.net, and this show will be archived. You get to hear from the coaches. And, again, thanks to all the coaches that have been a part tonight. Had Coach Tom Cox there starting us off as they got a win last night. Then we got to visit with Alan Hilliard a little bit and a couple different interviews tonight about the Ozark Conference and about Waynesville. We also got to visit with Matt Webb on his way home as they get a big win at Maryville. Also got to visit with John Perry. John Perry at Nixa as they get a big win there as well. And certainly just appreciate all the coaches being a part of the show. And, hey, you want to be a part of the show? Shoot us an email. We'll get you on the docket. And we're always reaching out for coaches all year long. This is Guy Newcomb, the scoreboard guy, signing off for the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol remind us, take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be